Craig, I'm really drawn to the attention that you've invested in these bananas. I think a threesome of bananas was actually a great choice for this subject. I like the values, the subtlety, the drama of the dark ends of the bananas. One thing that I'm thinking you could improve on is the shape of the table they sit on. Now, unless you're on the end of a very long counter that's also narrow, this perspective isn't quite right. Mm. Oh, and I want to thank you for posting drafts. I don't think you changed this first drawing since the draft phase, so I'm going to refer you to my drafts review for ideas on that. Now, with the second drawing, I'm going to refer you to notes I put in the discussion on your draft too. I'm feeling that those shelves, particularly the middle shelf, why they're too wide, that is, they're too deep. From back to front, the distance is too long. Now, I understand that this might be the proportion you'd see, for instance, if you looked at the shelf from above, but that distance is going to be severely foreshortened when the shelf protrudes toward you. Hi, Lindsay. I admire this first drawing. One thing I was thinking about was there's not really a second subject, so two or more subjects showing overlapping. Why, that was the assignment here. I like the way that the bands go around this face form. They help to make it look dimensional. I want you to analyze the shape of your shadow. It's looking kind of wide at bottom to be a shadow that would be cast from this particular form. It does serve to establish the ground plane, having a cast shadow there. Now, in the second drawing, well, rephoto that. Something's gone awry. We need a focused photo here in order for your work to be graded. Now, I can see you're using perspective, linear perspective, and that's good. I feel that when drawing from life, there are a few instances where you want to rely on that solely. Know of the theories involved and use them where it serves your drawing, but you're going to want to rely on citing more so. Here, the perspective is too severe for what you'd see in an ordinary kitchen. Well, hi, Mike. Beautiful drawings here. In the first one, it appears there is a blanket or towel. I think you could make this drawing look better in the photo if you manage it in Photoshop. For instance, go to Layers, New Adjustment Layer, Brightness and Contrast. It seems as though there's only one subject here, and the assignment was calling for two, but you certainly do have overlapping. Now, in the second drawing, wow, what a feat. This is an involved subject. You have shown a room. The only thing is that there's not a great deal of perspective. I suppose there's some there with that little chest of drawers by the bedside. I would urge you, with subjects like the lamp, to use a central axis. Well, Matthew, I've already commented on this first drawing in drafts. I don't believe it's changed since then. The second drawing is very lovely. A lot of care taken, and ordinarily we might think that an empty chair would seem a little odd as a subject for a drawing. However, this works well. All the crinkles in what seems to be the leather covering add a great deal of interest. I'm looking at the ottoman and I'm wondering if the left side looks a little too high, for example. You would want that farther side to appear a little shorter than the nearest side. Right, I can see a great deal of care went into working out the shape for the bottle, the large spray bottle and this smaller bottle that sits next to it. I also appreciate your subtle touch with shadowing. Now, let's take a look at the table they sit on. The near edge has got to look wider or longer than the one to the rear. Jenny, good work on this first drawing. I like the way that the spray bottle is lined up so that it's parallel with the picture plane. It's nice and square and sort of reiterates the square of the picture. Looking at your draft, I'm imagining that there's a little more paper around the subjects, and I would suggest that you photo them or crop the photo so that we see a little breathing room so the subjects aren't corralled in too close by the edge of the page. Nice drawing here, the second one. I'm looking especially at the lines that are describing where the walls meet the ceiling, and I think that's quite good. I like to say that it might be that Y, the upper arms of it, reach a little more toward the vertical, just a little more exaggerated in terms of the shape of a letter Y. Also, I want to encourage you to look for a shift in value that shows one wall next to the other without having to draw a line. Well, Adam, in this first drawing, I would say a ladle is a very hard subject to draw because of the S curve of its handle and the fact that there's nothing too terribly regular about the shape of the handle. You've drawn it well, though, and I like the juxtaposition of the box with the hemisphere of the bowl of the ladle. I'm not imagining that they're both sitting on the same plane. Maybe if they are, showing a shadow cast from the handle of the ladle would help. Also, if this was my drawing, I think I'd try to include all of the ladle handle in the composition. Now with your second drawing, wow, I'm just really enchanted by this. I like the sense of the light being switched on. Now here's a little thought for you. Would the light bulb illuminate the top of the lamp base? Let me know. Now, I was just saying to Jenny that it seemed like her first drawing might have been a bit crowded on the page, and I really do feel that way for sure with your drawing of this little bike. Give your subject some space and give yourself some space. It might be that you need to make some adjustments to the proportions. This is a lovely subject. There's a lot of interest here. Well, there's really technically only one subject. We could say that the pedal overlaps the wheel, for example. I am really taken by your second drawing. Very good job here observing perspective. In most cases, people are looking at the floor, but looking at the ceiling, you've shown a great deal of what we're talking about here in week 2. A couple of things. I just want to encourage you to let verticals be true verticals. For example, the left edge on the wall with a cross might be a little diagonal looking. Daniel, I'm not sure what the subject of this first drawing is. Is it a yogurt making machine? Not exactly sure. At any rate, it seems as though it's drawn correctly. However, the subject is skewed. So I'm wondering, did you square the drawing up with your camera when you photoed it or when you cropped the photo? Or, sometimes a skewed position can be of use, but maybe that needs to jive with the horizon line. Now, with regard to the drawing of the bed, I have reviewed this elsewhere, so I encourage you to go and take a look at my notes there. Now, this is a nice array of subjects here. I like the way that the bowl appears to be ridged. I can see that in shadow, and then, of course, the water bottle is also ridged. Because the shadow is so dominant, it might be good to crop this photo, and perhaps this is a lesson for everyone. When you're laying out your drawing, consider the role the shadow will play here, because the shadow is so strong. The drawing's a little heavy on the right side. Now, with the second drawing, let's take a look at the perspective. It seems as though that you're working with theory for linear perspective, but I want you to rely more so on how things appear. Use measuring, with comparing lengths, as well as citing using the clock-based method to determine the proper proportion for this subject. It appears that the right side and thereby the top is too long. Well, Andrew, this is a suitable subject for the first assignment. Actually, it's rather complex, and I would encourage you to give yourself an easier time of it and then really lavish a lot of attention on just a couple of subjects.